Last day? No. Good. Because I don't want to leave either. So this is what we're going to do. Okay? New plan. New plan. We're going to stay here. We're going to keep serving. We're going to keep praying. We're going to keep getting closer to Jesus. We're just going to take over Lawrence Academy. Kate and D are going to make that happen. They're really good. Okay, so that's the new plan, okay? I lost a bet yesterday, and I had to somehow work in the word, okay, into a homily. If I had a microphone that I could drop. There it is. Jesus walks past Matthew sitting at the customs post. Customs post is where the tax collector sat and collected taxes. And there's Matthew sitting there doing his job. His job is the most reviled profession for the Jewish people, because it means that Matthew, a Jewish man, has given himself over to working for the Roman Empire, a foreign power. And he takes money from his own people. The tax collectors are hated. And there is Matthew sitting at the most hated post in all of Jerusalem, in all of the Jewish world. There's Matthew sitting at that post. And Jesus walks by and he looks at him. Follow me. Follow me. You heard Jesus say that to you before you came here. Before you came to Catholic Heart, Jesus said to you, follow me. And you got up, you packed up your things, and you got on a bus or into a minivan, and you came here to follow Jesus. And you followed him here. He brought you to this place. And here in this place, you went out and you served. You went out and you brought that good news to everybody who you met. You gave of yourselves. You poured yourself out, so that others could have life, so that others could receive something great. But you know the secret. You know the secret that many people don't know. And that is that when you serve, when you follow, and you go out giving of yourself, you get a heck of a lot more, don't you? You get so much more. And so you served. You spent this week because you took Jesus up at his invitation. Follow me. Imagine what it must have been like for Matthew. Nobody likes him. He has 0 friends. He is the least popular person on the face of the planet. And some strange man walks over and looks at him and says those very simple words, follow me. He has no idea who this person is. But he gets up and he leaves the money behind. See, the tax collectors could get extra money because all they had to do was tell people that they owed more, and they got to keep the rest. So Matthew was making bank. He could get anything he wanted. Nobody liked him for it, but he could get it. And so he's sitting there, and Jesus says, follow me. And he gets up. He leaves all of that behind. He gets rid of it. And he walks off and he follows Jesus. Imagine the power of Jesus' voice in that moment. What must it have been like for Matthew? Jesus looks at him. Imagine Jesus now looking at you. He looks at you. And in that moment, when Jesus looked at Matthew, he knew Matthew. He knew him inside and out. He knew everything about him. He understood Matthew's heart. And he still said to him, follow me. He saw Matthew in his sinfulness. He saw how Matthew cheated people. He saw how Matthew sinned against his brothers and sisters in faith. And Jesus still looked at him and said, follow me. Let's go. And in that moment, Matthew left behind his world of sin. He left behind his unworthiness and his mess. And he followed. He followed Jesus. And because he followed Jesus, his life was radically changed. Because what do we find Matthew doing right away? He throws a party. And he invites all the other sinners in town. The other tax collectors, the prostitutes, the thieves. Come and have dinner with me and this guy who I'm following now. Hashtag follow. like, yes. It's a beautiful message, isn't it? I am. So, Matthew throws this party. And all his friends come. All the other sinners in town, they come. Matthew has met Jesus, said yes to following him. And he immediately starts bringing people to him. So, you said yes to following Jesus. Jesus called you here this week. You said yes. You got up. You left behind your customs post. You left behind all the other stuff that you could have been doing this week. You left behind everything at home that may have been cooler, that may have been more fun, more popular, more acceptable. How many people got a strange look from somebody when you told them, what are you doing for this 4th of July week? And you said, oh, I'm going to go and serve. I'm going to go and paint houses. I'm going to go and pull up weeds for the entire week. I'm going to go and help the poor, the homeless, the suffering, the elderly. How many of you got a weird look like, oh? Right? I'm going to Cape Cod. I'm going down the shore. I'm just going to go to a party on a golf course because I'm from Connecticut and that's what we do in Connecticut. You guys think I don't know these things. I grew up near a golf course. You get that weird look. What are you doing? You are following Jesus Christ. And when you follow Jesus Christ, it is infinitely better than anything else you could have decided to do. So you chose to follow Jesus here. And when you follow Jesus here, you immediately began bringing him to others. You immediately, just like Matthew, brought other people to know Jesus Christ. Now you're going home. I know, Sophia, it's very sad. I love that kid. She's amazing. Isn't she? She's got that great smile, like with no teeth and everything. It's awesome. I love it. Yeah, it's beautiful. So, Jesus isn't done with you. That call that you answered when you said yes to coming to Catholic Harbor Camp in Boston 2014. That call that you answered so generously and came here, followed Jesus here, you encountered Jesus here, you stayed with Jesus here, and you brought Jesus to the people that you served. Jesus isn't done with you because he's still saying to you, follow me. Follow me. Answer the call. Follow me. Don't worry, Captain Carter, I won't drop your microphone, I promise. I love you so much. He's saying to you still, follow me. Follow me home. Jesus is still calling you now. Follow me. Jesus is still saying, follow me. So I got to walk back up here now. Follow me. Come on, let's go. Because, guys, Jesus in his wisdom and in his love for you isn't done. He may have given you 1 week of service. He may have given you one time to come and follow, to come and serve. But it's not done yet. You go home now, and you have this amazing story of all the things that you saw, all the things that you did. You have the amazing story of encountering Jesus Christ every single day in the Eucharist. You have the amazing story of finding Jesus in everything that you did when you went out to work. And you found him. You met him. And now he's inviting you more. Follow me. A lot of you have been here before. You've come to camp in the past. How is this year going to be different when you go home? How many of you had that experience? You go home, and then you get back to real life. Going back to real life is the worst. Let's be honest. And you go back to real life, and oh no, it's not as cool as it was at camp. It's not as easy to meet Jesus. It's not as easy to find him. It's not as easy to give of myself in generous service. What do I do? How is this year going to be different for you when you go home? Will you go home changed because Jesus has invited you again? Follow me. Will you go home a little bit different? I said at the beginning of the week, go home and make a mess, because that's what Pope Francis asked us to do. Go home. Go back to your towns. Go back to your villages. Go back to your countries. We're all from the same country. Go back home. USA. Go home and make a mess. Go home and make a mess. Do that thing. You heard the residents say it last night. A lot of people don't have much hope for this generation. I have a ton of hope for this generation because I get to see you guys. Because I get to spend a week with you every year. I have a ton of hope for this generation because I see how you have said yes to Jesus when he says, follow me. So, go home. Make that mess. Be the kid who shows up for daily mass in your parish. Be the kid who goes and knocks at the rectory door and says, hey, Father, could we have adoration now? Be the kid who goes home and says, we need to find some more community service projects. Be the kid who goes home and asks for ways that they can serve their neighbors and those who are most in need in their community. Be the kid who leads others into service. And you will be a sign of hope for this generation. Go home. Go home and keep following. Because Jesus isn't done with you yet. There's still something he wants to do. There's still a great plan that he has for you. So, as you follow Jesus, he's calling you deeper in faith. And he calls every single one of us to that discipleship. He calls every single one of us to follow. You know what the difference is between a disciple and an apostle? A disciple is one who follows. And so Jesus says to Matthew, follow me. And Matthew follows. And Jesus says to you, follow me. And you followed him here. Now I want you to follow him home. I want you to follow him wherever he goes. Matthew doesn't ask any questions. He drops everything and he goes. This is the thing when you say yes to discipleship, when you say yes to following Jesus. You don't know where he's going to take you. I promise you, brothers and sisters, I had no idea where Jesus would take me when I said yes, when he asked me to follow him. I had no idea. And I thank God every day that I had no idea. Because if I knew I don't think I would have done it. I mean that. If I knew, I think I would have been too afraid. And so that's why we don't ask the question, well, what's going to happen next? No. Jesus says, follow me. And Matthew follows him. Matthew trusts Jesus. If we are with Jesus, we have him in the boat with us, we've got nothing to worry about. So Jesus asks you to follow him as his disciples. But what happens to Matthew? He immediately starts bringing people to Jesus. An apostle is one who has been sent out. An apostle is one who has been sent on mission. And so you guys immediately, just like Matthew, you became apostles. Because you said yes to discipleship. You said yes to following Jesus. And you immediately were sent out on mission. And you came here to Catholic Heart. You immediately went out bringing the good news of Jesus Christ, crucified and risen from the dead. You immediately went out bringing the good news that Christ is with us, that he truly is here in our weakness, in our mess. He is really, truly present. You brought that message. You went out. You were sent on mission. And so when Jesus calls you home now, to follow him home, to be his disciples at home, he's also sending you out on mission as apostles, as evangelists, as missionaries. He's sending you home to bring this good news to everyone that you meet. So how is this year going to be different for you? Is this going to be an experience that you keep to just that first week of July? And it's your own little secret, your little private story that you remember back and forth when you're having a rough day? Or is this going to be the inspiration for you to do something great at home? Is this going to be the week that inspires you to radically change your lives and follow Jesus more profoundly? Is this going to be the week that changes your heart so much that you want to follow Jesus wherever he takes you? Jesus calls every last one of us to follow him. That's a pretty amazing invitation. He's looking at you right now and saying, follow me. Now, brothers and sisters, the cool thing about this is that he asks us to follow him in a whole variety of ways. A whole bunch of beautiful, beautiful ways. When we look at the way that Jesus calls us, it's a mess and it's a beautiful one. It really is. We get to see how Jesus calls us in so many, many different ways. How many of you have seen a whole variety of gifts whole bunch of people who can do different things that you didn't expect. How many of you saw in different people something new? People who you've known maybe for a long time. You saw a special gift, something that they were capable of, a person they were able to connect with that nobody else could connect with. It's amazing, because Jesus calls us in a whole bunch of different ways. Some of you, he's calling in a very particular way. Some of you, he's calling to be apostles, disciples, evangelists, missionaries, in a really particular, consecrated, focused way. Some of you, Jesus is calling to be priests. He's calling you to serve him. He's calling you to lay down your life completely, to give of yourself, to be missionaries, to be evangelists, to follow him wherever he takes you. Some of you, he's asking to give that gift, to give your hands to him, and through your hands, to allow his presence to be made real on the altar every day. He's asking you, young men, to give your voices, your hands, and your lives to him, so that he can continue to make that call more profound and louder. Follow me. Some of you young women, he is calling to the religious life, to consecrate yourself so completely to him that you would be known as a bride of Christ, that you would be totally given to him, that you would lay down your life in service, that you would witness by every aspect of your life, by your prayer, by your mission, by your zeal for the gospel. He's asking you, come follow me. Lay down your life for me. Give yourself completely. That call to follow Jesus is real, and it is profound, and it is beautiful. And it's not easy. But that's why we don't ask what's going to happen next. But I promise you, it's too scary otherwise. But I can also promise you, it is the greatest thing ever. Ever. Pope Benedict XVI, we forget about Pope Benedict. I love him. He is amazing. When he preached his very first homily as Pope, he ended his homily saying, do not be afraid of Christ. He gives you everything. When we give ourselves to him, we receive 100-fold in return. So open wide the doors to Christ, and you will find true life. Matthew sat at the customs post, and Jesus said, follow me. And Matthew followed him. He didn't know what was going to happen next, but he laid down his life to follow Jesus. He became an evangelist. He brought others to know Jesus. He wrote the Gospel of Matthew. No big deal. And now we have it as our testimony of Jesus. We refer to it so that we can hear Jesus speaking to us. And in that gospel, Jesus says to us very clearly, follow me. And we know that when we follow Jesus, we lose nothing. We lose absolutely nothing, says Benedict, of what makes life beautiful and good and enjoyable. We lose nothing when we follow Jesus. Now he's asking you, follow me home. Be my disciples at home. Be my apostles, my evangelists at home. Some of you, be my priests. Be my religious sisters. Bring this good news into the world. If Jesus is saying to you today, follow me, I want you to say yes. If he's saying to you, follow me in your school, at work, in your family life, say yes. If he's saying to you, follow me as a priest, as a religious, say yes. Don't be afraid. The great, good, and beautiful mess that we are, when we give it to God, when we follow Jesus that way, he transforms it into something totally different, totally new, totally beautiful. So say yes. Because Jesus is asking you to follow him home. There is no greater invitation that we could possibly receive. Matthew looked into the eyes of Jesus Christ, and he knew. Jesus looks into your eyes now, and he says the